Welcome to this video showing some basics of Google Meet and Jamboard. While watching this on YouTube, have a look at the chapters below to find exactly what you need to know. I'll start off with going through Google Meet and how to create and access Jamboard from a Meet session. Thereafter, I'll go through Jamboard and some of its features to collaborate with your other participants. Firstly, let's start up with Google Meet. In here, I've got myself as the host, another Google user, and a guest that is not currently logged in to a Google account. For a quick overview over the UI in Google Meet, from left to right we have the time as well as the meeting code that you'll be using to grant other people access into this Google Meet session. Then you've got your mute button or unmute button, your show and hide camera button, your raise your hand button. In the chats panel or the participants panel, you'll be able to actually see who's raised their hand as well as which order. Keep in mind that only the person who raised their hand as well as the host can't lower any raised hands. Next up, you've got your share button. If this button, however, is grayed out, your host may have disabled this feature for this session, or the availability of this feature is just limited for the time being. Clicking on this button, you'll have three options. You can either share your entire screen, a specific window on your computer, or a tab from a supported browser. When clicking on your entire screen, you'll be able to select which screen you want to share, click on it and click on share to share that screen. The same will be happening for a window you want to share, and when you want to share audio or animations, it's usually best to select a specific tab from your browser to share. As this option, you'll have an option to click on Share tab audio. Next up, you've got your hamburger menu. From here you can open a Jam whiteboard. This is usually only available to hosts. You can change your layout here, apply visual effects to your camera, enable captions such as live transcribing for your participants, for anyone who needs accessibility features. You can call in via the user phone for audio, some other settings, as well as the settings page where you'll be doing troubleshooting for your audio or your video, or adjust any settings for your Google Meet session. On the right, you'll have your info panel, which will give you information on how to join the session if you want to share it with other people. You'll have your participation panel over here, which will show you who's participating in this Google Meet session, who's presenting, etc. You'll have your chat panel where you can chat, your apps panel, as well as a host-only settings panel over here. On the apps panel, you'll be able to select breakout rooms when you want to split into smaller groups. You can access your polls, your Q&A sessions, as well as the whiteboarding similar to that in the hamburger menu. Clicking on whiteboarding, you'll be greeted with two options: starting a new whiteboard or choosing an existing whiteboard from your drive. Clicking on starting a new whiteboard will create a new Jamboard for you, and it will ask you to share this Jamboard with the participants. You can also ignore that share and share directly out of Jamboard. But for this session, I'll just go ahead and select an existing Jamboard. From here, I'll select the Jamboard, open up the Jam, and it'll say it wants to give access to the other person that's logged in. But for now, I'll just go ahead and ignore this, as I'll do this out of Jamboard just to show you how it will look like for participants who does not have access to a specific Jamboard. So I will select Don't Give Access and I'll click on Send. This will open up a new Jamboard for the host. If it does not open in a new window, just go ahead and head over to jamboard.google.com and open up the recently created Jamboard. So from here, you'll see in the chats panel, you just sent a message as the host saying, I shared a Jam file with this meeting with the URL. So for this portion, we'll head over to the participants Google Meet to view how this will look like for a logged in user as well as a non-logged in user. From this participant's view, this person is not logged into a Google account and thus using Google Meet as a guest. So on the chat panel, you'll see a person, the host, has shared the Jam file. Clicking on this will quickly show to you that this person isn't logged in and it will need to sign into a Google account. If this person does not have a Google account, go ahead and create an account here or just log in with your Google details. However, on the participant screen who is logged in, going to their chat panel, they'll also have the exact same link. However, when they click on that, keeping in mind they have not been given access to this Jamboard yet, they'll open up the link saying they need to request access. If the email over here is not the email that they want to request access with, they'll need to change it. So either go ahead and click here, and this will bring up another page showing which accounts you are logged into. If none of your accounts here is the account that you need to log into to view the file, go ahead and sign into another account here. This will be the exact same page as that for the person that was not yet logged in. If you need to know more details on how to create an account to link it to your business account, have a look at the previous video I created, which I'll link down in the description or add to the annotations page. From here, I'll head back to the host Jamboard session. And over here, you'll be able to see that the host can share the specific Jamboard with specific users. So in the top right corner, you can go ahead and click on share. This will bring up the share box where you can add people's email addresses, give them specific permissions, whether it be viewer permission, editing permissions. Do keep in mind for Jamboard there is no such option as a commenter permission, only editing and viewing. So go ahead and add the email to the person on the Google Meet so that they have access. Once that person is added, from here you can choose whether or not you want to notify these people with an email or not. For this purposes, I'll just say do not notify, as they will already have the link in the Google Meet session. Once you've linked up all the people that you want to add over here, go ahead and click on share. You might get a warning showing that the person you are sharing with might not be in your organization. If you are aware of this and you're happy with this, go ahead and click share anyway. From here, the person will now have been shared. You can double check this by again clicking on share. And here you will see both you and that other person you just added has been shared to the file, and that person has editor permissions. You can here change it to viewer, give temporary access, even make them the owner, or remove them completely. Another item to note is that you can only add people to Jamboards to edit files that do have a specific Google account linked to an email address. People who are logging in as guests can only view a Jamboard when you change it for anyone to open this Jamboard via the link. For example, over here, it's set as restricted. So only people you shared with directly will be able to access Jamboard. You can change it to your organization where applicable. And the other option, as discussed, is anyone with the link. This will allow even the guest on the Google Meet session to join that link without needing to log in. This might be different depending on your case if you want to use it as such. If you want to keep track of who's editing what in your Jamboard, it's recommended to keep it as restricted and ensure everyone just creates a Google account. They don't need to create a Gmail account. However, for this purposes, we'll leave it on restricted and go ahead and show you how Jamboard's collaboration works. Let's go ahead and click on done. From our previous participants' perspective, when they've been added to the Jamboard and they've been given editor permission or viewer permission, they'll now be able to go back to the chat panel, go ahead and click on the link, and that would load up the Jamboard where they will be able to do any editing, highlighting some items. They will be able to see as well who is online currently on the Jamboard, such as that person there at the top right. They'll be able to edit and change however they need, and they will be able to share as well if they've got the correct permissions. Now let's head over back to the host's Jamboard where we can discuss some of the features of Google Meet. From here you can see that the user that we were just on is also in the Jamboard. At the top right you can see this person in a pinkish red color. So going through the features, we've got our pen tool over here, which you can change to a pen or a different type of pen, a type of highlighter and a brush. And as well you can change the colors. Keeping it on the default, you can draw shapes. If you really need to, you can use type text with this as well. And there's also an eraser where you can erase parts of your pencil that you just drawn. You can add sticky notes. You can change the colors. You can make them invisible, etc. Not invisible. You can move them around, you can resize them, rotate them, you can edit them, duplicate them, delete them, change the order. The order can only be changed when there's more than one item. So for example, if I would go and add a shape within there, you can add circles, squares, etc. You can have multiple shapes in here, and you'll see they've got different types of orders. From here you can change the order, bring it to the front, just bring it a bit more forward, send it to the back, send it a bit more to the back. This helps you to change the level of how you want items to overlap each other. For example, if I want the sticky note to be right at the top, I'll say bring to the front. Do keep in mind that any scribbles you make with the pen tools, they will always be on the upmost top. To quickly clear your entire screen, go ahead and click on clear frame. Do keep in mind that this clears the frame of all content, whether it's your content, collaborators' content, etc. So do keep in mind of this. If, however, you do that and you make a mistake and you're like, oh no, you can just go ahead and click on undo. To remove some of your scribbles, you can use the erase tool again, or if you'd like on mobile, you'll be able to select it as a bunch and remove it at once. You can also import images by URL uploaded from a camera, your Google Images, your Google Drive, your Google Photos, etc. Google Images is just by searching like a normal Google search image. You can add text boxes where you can actually type more items instead of trying to write them with the scribbles. And you can also use this tool, which is a laser pointer. So it's very similar to your pen tool, except it doesn't stay on the page. It's just a laser pointer. You can also change the backgrounds of your Jamboard to dots, lines, to grid, darker grid, a blueprint, a blackout, and you can also upload your own type of images. For now, we'll just keep it on white. From here, I'll just clear the frame to restart over. And I want to show you how the collaboration works and how it syncs with other users. From here, you can now see that there is 3 other users viewing this Jamboard with me. We have 2 anonymous users depicted by animal logos, and 1 other user that is logged in, which is that pink profile icon. So the reason anonymous users can access this file is because I changed the shared permissions now for viewers, for a view permission for anonymous users. If that was not the case, they would not be able to view the file, and only people that have direct share access to the file will be able to access the file. But for purposes of showing how the collaboration works with more than 1 user, this is how this situation will look like. On this screen, you'll be able to see here that we've got me as the host on the top left screen. The bottom right screen is another user that's logged in, and the top right and the bottom left is the 2 anonymous users. So on the main host screen, if I go ahead and select the pencil tool and I create a red color and I draw a cloud with this, you'll see that gets transferred all the way to the other participants. Now there is a slight delay due to the computers need to understand what you're drawing first, transfer it over the internet, etc. But it's reasonable enough to collaborate nonetheless. So potentially you'll be doing this on a Google Meet call while talking, telling people on which slide you are, etc. However, if you want to have more than 1 slide on the collaboration, you can go ahead to the top, click on the next slide, and I can create another big slide. Now you see this isn't transferred to the other users for a simple reason that they are still on the first slide. For example, on one of the anonymous users, I'll go ahead and continue to the next slide, and there you go. I am also on that slide as well. And that syncs with that anonymous users, while the other 2 users are on the first slide still. If the other logged in user were to draw on the slide in black, that gets transferred to everyone, but the only person seeing it is the one on slide 1. If everyone would like to view a person's work, they can go ahead and click on that person's icon at the top right. For example, I'll click on my logo where we already are on the top right corner. In the bottom left, I'll click on my logo and it'll move me, another anonymous users to the same slide I'm working on. And the same for this user, I'll just manually move to number 2. So from here, we can go ahead and add images. You can go ahead and search Gantt chart. Just add some random image in here, and you'll see that transfers to everyone's screen. So now everyone can talk about this, chat about it, highlight, markup, erase any text that's above your images or whatever. And people can go ahead and highlight items that they want to discuss, make some pointers to something they want to talk about. They might bring in their own files to say, this is what I've been working on, what do you guys think, etc, etc. And someone can use a laser pointer, just show to something to everyone without actually drawing on the page. So that's the way on a web version that this collaboration and cross-sync can work on Jamboard. Another option is using Jamboard on your mobile device. You'll need to download the Jamboard app on the App Store, Google Play Store, iOS Web Store, whatever. And from there you can go ahead and I'll select this demo board and I will show you how that correlates with other users on the web versions. So from here I'm selecting the demo board. This will load up the demo board, and currently I'm in viewing permission as per the edit icon in the bottom right corner. From here I can view the 2 sheets that's been added. There I can see the Gantt chart that we've added previously, the question mark, etc. And I can also see currently who is online on that sheet. As you'll see, it's not showing the anonymous viewers on the app. I'm not sure if that's a feature, but because we are also only in viewing mode, it does not really matter necessarily for anonymous users. When I click on edit, it will bring up the edit page, similar to that we've seen on the web page. You've got your standard drawing tool, your eraser tool, your laser pointer, and the one in the middle is a selection tool that I discussed. So instead of using the eraser tool to slowly erase portions of the annotated texts, I'll just undo that. You can now use the select tool to select a wide portion of items that people have added to the Jamboard. So for example, the selection of view of the marching ants indication showed I select everything in the marching ants, as well as the Gantt chart has been selected as that is an item. So if I just select a circle and part of the top of the question mark, you'll see if I move that around, it will remove it from the sketch. If I hover it over the delete icon, it will just delete that item. I'll just undo that. And obviously you can also see all of that is also happening on the web screen versions that you can see in the right. From here on the mobile version, you can also go ahead and add your sticky notes. You can use your phone's image library or your iPad or whatever. You can access the camera, as well as a very neat feature called Drive Content. So for that, I'll go ahead and create a new tab. And for the viewer, anonymous viewer, as well as a logged in user viewer, I'll move to the new tabs as well. From here, you can see if I go ahead to Drive Content, it will load up and ask me what items I want to add. I'll select my drive. I'll go to a folder. And from here, I can actually insert a Google Doc, PDF, Google Sheet, images, and even Google Slides. And do note that some file formats are not supported for this, but let's try for a Google Doc. Here you can see the Google Doc is brought in, quite small, very small icon. But if you double click on this, it will expand it and you can pull out various pages from the Google Doc. As you can see on your logged in users on the web profile, they can also see these images. They can also edit them, drag them, move them around, even resize them. As you can see, the logged in user now can resize the images, pull them out, highlight some portions, cross out other portions, etc. However, do note that on the web version, the Jamboard doesn't allow Google Docs to be opened. It's only on the mobile version. Similarly, I'll just go ahead and double click, move this to the trash, double click here to close that up, delete that item, and use the selection tool to select everything and delete it from the mobile view. I'll go ahead again to drive content, go to my drive, go to another folder, and I'll go ahead and drop in a PDF from Google, the Jamboard Pro guide. When it's shaking like this, it can usually mean it's not compatible, or either the file might still be downloading. This one is completed downloading. I'll drag it over to there, zoom in, and I'll go ahead and pull out some of these pages. Browse through, pull out another page. From here, we can go ahead and delete some of the pages, create selections, move it around. And on the web versions, you can again move it around, resize items. It's quite legible as well, as this is basically extractions from the documents that's been shared into this Jamboard. Do keep in mind these items, they don't act as direct references, but more like copies, as even if you update a Google Doc, it does not necessarily update within the Jamboard as well. So this is basically the entire idea of Jamboard, is creating content, keep on adding new slides, collaborate through with other people working on the slides together with you. You can break out into different breakout rooms onto different types of Jamboards. Have a Jamboard for a discipline on your meets, have a Jamboard for another discipline, create breakouts room for the different disciplines, and ideate and create new content on the Jamboard if it's not possible to do it in person. Jamboard can also be used on physical devices, such as a physical Jamboard, which works as a whiteboard where users can sit in the same room or other rooms and collaborate together on that whiteboard via their phones or tablets, etc. Going back to our main Jamboard, you'll see that the Gantt chart is still there and the items that's been deleted is still deleted as per the mobile device. And you can go to the tab where one of those pages were pulled out, and you can see it's quite legible as well. However, as discussed, that document, I can't pull documents or pages out of this. That is only a mobile feature. However, these images can still be resized, they can be moved around, they can be deleted as well. You can draw shapes over them to highlight certain areas if you need to make the full transparency of that circle, etc. I'll put a link down to this PDF that's been developed by Google if you need to go through some of the tools of Google Jamboard. And I hope this video helped you understand how Jamboard works and all of the features that it might have for you and your team to collaborate better. Thank you.